Recently on RPM, we featured the Volvo V60, one of a few new models to benefit from the company's new philosophy on smaller, more efficient powertrains. Now, before we get going with the S60, here's a very quick recap of those technical details. Very simply, a single platform will offer petrol and diesel variants of differing outputs. At the core of the idea is economics and efficiency, with some philosophy thrown in too.
We are a small company and we need to be a completely independent company, so we need to think where everyone else is sharing platform among different brands. We need to have our product portfolio on the same architecture. Volvo is all about a human-centric approach. It's all about you as a person.
And that simply means that while they're essentially going to offer you fewer engines, they're not going to cut back on their legendary safety systems for people inside the car as well as outside. Their city safety system, standard across the entire Volvo range, detects objects in front of the car at low speeds and can even bring the car to a complete stop if needed. Now upgraded, it can recognize people and animals, including cyclists, none of which could be found on our mountain drive in the south of France. There have been some slight styling changes to the S60, predictably, to bring it more in line with the family look. The rear has been subtly reshaped and now includes integrated exhaust tailpipes. The front gets new LEDs, a new grille, and just what we've always wanted, a bigger Volvo badge. Those minimal changes have resulted in this car retaining that thing for which Swedes and their designs are famous: minimalism. The irony here being that one of their design chiefs is actually Austrian. The S60 showcases a few things that will become part of the company's designs of the future: an even closer attention to detail, even less clutter than before, and a more confident front-end look. I may carry on a bit about Volvo's interiors, but it really does suit this particular car because despite the fact that the design is old, it is still very classy. All the updated Volvos get the benefit of some new finishes and some new optional extras and some top tech, including a touchscreen and internet connectivity, but excluding Spotify, which isn't available here yet. Unsurprisingly, the bulk of the clever electronics in the S60 are concentrated on keeping you safe on the road, and include systems that by now have been copied by a number of other manufacturers. The blind spot warning system lets you know if there's a car approaching while you're trying to change lanes. The lane change system keeps you in the correct lane by monitoring road markings and then vibrating the steering wheel if it senses you're starting to drift. Out of your lane, I mean, not sideways. Also available is an auto park function, which identifies empty parking spots and then helps you parallel park correctly the first time by controlling the steering wheel while all you have to do is shift gears and use the pedals. Yep, safety is something for which Volvo is famous, but it has another side to it as well. Manufacturers love telling you about their motorsport heritage, especially when it involves Formula One, and how that technology filters down to their production cars to help with the power or the safety or the reliability. Now, Volvo doesn't have any involvement in Formula One, but it might interest you to know that they are the current Swedish touring car world champs, and that should tell you that they know a thing or two about how to make a car perform. We didn't get to drive one of their Polestar or R-badged cars on our Riviera adventure, but it still gave us an opportunity to try out a mixture of roads, which showed us that when pushed, the Swedes' chassis doesn't mind a bit of fun. Last time out, we had ourselves a diesel. This now is a petrol version of their four-cylinder architecture, with 225 kilowatts and 400 newton meters. Helping generate that power is a supercharger and a turbocharger, an idea pioneered by Volkswagen. And now we get to see how the Swedes do it. A four-cylinder motor in a big car doesn't sound like a promising start, but with all that forced induction going on, it really shouldn't have a problem dealing with its weight. And it doesn't, but it's not perfect. Even though this T6 is the most powerful of the new petrol engines, and even though it has the same Newton meter count as the diesel, it somehow doesn't feel as urgent as it should. And the 8-speed auto box is smooth enough, but it also has a decidedly old-school feel to it. But the particular weak point of this engine is that it's not as refined as it should be, and it gets quite rough as you start approaching the red line. And that's not a problem that can be remedied by choosing a manual gearbox, because there isn't one. The T6 isn't the best engine in Volvo's smaller is better argument, because although it has good drivability and power, it lacks that true refinement you need in a car like the S60. But it still is only a first step, and as far as first steps go, it is a convincing one. The T6's 4-cylinder motor uses both a turbo and supercharger to help generate its power, which is a decent 224 kilowatts. The S60 has all the hallmarks of a big Volvo, including safety and attractive design, as well as good tech, but the engine and gearbox combination will need a little massaging to deliver the refinement expected in this class.